Hey there, my name is Donna Freeman, and I'm presenting to you my project on a database for nutritional tracking. So in this project, I created a database for users to track their health-related activities of eating, drinking, and exercising. The goals of this project were for these users, many users, to be able to track those things like beverage and food intake, record their exercise activities, and then obtain summaries such as net calories and macronutrient intake. With every project, we start with the requirements, and using this ER diagram, we can see the requirements and how they're related to one another. We made a schema from there. You can see our tables listed. We've got beverage, drinks, tracker, consumes, food, exercise, and participates in. After building the architecture of the database, we next moved on to putting in our instances or our data. And once you have the database created, what questions can be answered using this database? Well, this assignment gave us 10 queries, and I'll just go through a few of those with you. We had a simple select query with ordering. So a question that applies here are, what are the food choices and their calories in this database? So we listed those foods in the nutrition database according to their calories. You can see we use select statements from, order by, and the outcome. You can see hard-boiled egg and ketchup and watermelon are on the low end of food calories per serving, and on the upper end we've got our Whataburger and our pancakes and syrup from McDonald's and our pizza from Mod Pizza. Some medium difficulty questions involve calculations and grouping. So a question that applies here are, according to the food group categories, what are the average calories per serving and protein content for the foods in the database? So that was a little bit more complicated. We have our functions like average and min, max, and group by. We used the where statement. And we came up with what the food calories are per food group. And you can see, let's take a look at our limit. Our limit foods have an average of 4.8 grams of protein. That's not very many, yet 248 calories per serving. So those are the foods we want to avoid if we're trying to live a nutritious, healthful lifestyle. Another question we can use when we're looking at groups is, what is the average weight for male and female trackers? And we use similar types of statements with average, min, max, group by, and we came up with our average weight for males and females, which was about 155 pounds for our male trackers and 151.7 for our female trackers. Hey, here's another question. It was one of our queries that uses a subquery. Which foods have lower than average calories and higher than average protein? That's for our keto friends, right? So check that out. We've got our subquery here in the middle. We ordered by our food groups. And turns out there was only one food in our database that qualified, and that was our grilled chicken breast, coming in at 52 grams of protein per serving at only 257 calories. We learned about joins and had some example queries for that. So here's one. Which trackers exercise, and what was their participation in exercise? So we ran our statements. We selected everyone from participates. We did an inner join on tracker ID. So our participates in is where people recorded when they exercised, what they did, how long they did it, how many calories they burned. And then you can see in our output that we got Denise and Dorothy and Marion, Deborah, they all exercise. Let's take a closer look at this in our output, and then I put it in Excel so we can see a little better. So a lot of people exercised on the first day of November. A few more, a little less on the second. We had some exercises on the third, fourth, and so on. Got another question here. Among all the trackers who did and didn't exercise, and in what exercises did they participate? Our output, and then we put that in Excel. You can see our null values for those who did not. We created a view, trackers who exercised, put it in Excel. We got the details of those 5 people who did exercise. Moving on, we've got one query that uses a union. And we focus on the participation and exercise for trackers numbers 006 and 001. And our output shows what they did. 007 exercise about 45 minutes, exactly 45 minutes on her days, and number 001, 20 minutes. And you can see the calories that they burned. We learned about stored functions, and we did a stored function here, query. We created a function named fat tracker that identifies the average grams of fat in foods in this food table. You can see the code that we wrote in MySQL for our function, and even the result that the average fat was 14.35 grams. We kept stored procedures. We created one to track protein contents of food listed in our table. Take a look there. We created a procedure, we began and we ended. And we found out that we had an average of 20.15 grams of protein. There were some difficulties in this project, learning opportunities that in SQL you cannot use user as a table name because that's a keyword in MySQL. So we changed that to tracker. Also assigning food calorie values. I thought I'd be using an int, but it turned out my values in the data were numeric, so they had decimals. So I had to clean up my data to make it match. Food entry limitations. So many foods fall in several categories, so it's difficult to track. Is this a vegetable when you're having a salad, or is it a meat because it's chicken Caesar salad? So we created a group called multi. For exercise tracking of calories, the tracker needs to look at some other application or website to get the information about, well, how many calories did they burn when they walked for 45 minutes, and were they walking fast? So those are future upgrade possibilities, adding new tables for counting number of fruits and vegetables daily, for tracking weight, for tracking other body measurements and exercise. Thank you.